This is The Wind, a podcast made at a desk out in the mountains. It's hard to explain how deep the snow is, because it's deep and because it's uneven. In the middle of winter on the edge of the meadow, it can be 3 or 6 or 10 feet deep, a result of many storms dropping more than that in aggregate, and then condensing before the next. But even then, just a few paces apart, a 6-foot shelf diminishes to 2. It's deepest where the wind pushes it to drift before dissipating against the trees, and I built my desk half by accident, in a place where the snow piles up slowly. Above the desk, the large protective branch of a lodgepole pine covers my spot from a lot of the falling snow. Its trunk stands between the desk and the most common direction of the wind, so it stays in a little eddy. A 3-foot storm usually means just 1 foot on the desktop. So in a heavy winter, I dig it out, and I sit in a sort of snow cave on the edge of the whitened meadow. This episode takes place in the dead of winter, in Elko, Nevada. Elko is a railroad stop in the northeastern corner of the state, closer to Utah and Idaho than it is to this desk, and in the direction of Montana, which is where the subject of this upcoming interview is from. This episode is called Henry Reelbird at the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering.
The Wind. With Phil Corbett.
It's a non-smoking room, but that's a new development. Up the concrete stairs in the back corner of the motel, past the gas trucks and Subarus, there's a dead fly in the center of the bathtub. Late night off the train in Elko, Nevada. Every January at the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering, it's either cold or it's snowing. This year, it's warm. Cowboy poetry, by form, is a 150-year-old genre, usually rhyming couplets about land, horsemanship, weather, and livestock, told in narrative, often with a joke or a moral or both.
These two fellas you're going to meet are representatives of the annual gathering of the Cowboy Poets in Elko, Nevada. And you may not realize it, and I did until a few years ago, that poetry is part of the cowboy tradition.
After a famous moment on Johnny Carson's Late Show in the 1980s, the marriage of 2 American archetypes took popular root, cultivating a soil rich in contradiction. Cowboy, poet.
And every year, 50 or 60 of these poets gather together and put on a show. So tonight, representing them are Waddy Mitchell and Baxter Black. Gentlemen. That's good, Waddy.
Sometimes the best contradictions are the ones that make sense without having to make sense of them. To give you an idea, I'll read a classic in the genre. This is Ridin' by Badger Clark. Ridin' by Charles Badger Clark. There is some that like the city, grass that's curried, smooth and green, theaters and strangling collars, wagons run by gasoline, but for me it's horse and saddle, every day without a change, and a desert sun ablazing on 100 miles of range. just a ridin', desert rippling in the sun, mountains blue among the skyline. I don't envy anyone when I'm riding. When my feet is in the stirrups, and my horse is on the bust with the hooves a flashin' lightnin' from a cloud of golden dust, and the bawlin' of the cattle is a comin' down the wind, then a finer life than ridin' would be mighty hard to find. Just a ridin', splittin' long cracks through the air, stirring up a baby cyclone, ripping up the prickly pear as I'm riding. I don't need no art exhibits when the sunset does her best, painting everlasting glory on the mountains to the west, and your opera looks so foolish when the nightbird starts his tune and the desert's silver mounted by the touches of the moon. Just a ridin', who can envy kings and czars, while the coyotes down the valley are a singin' to the stars if he's ridin'. When my earthly trail is ended, and my final bacon curled, and the last great roundup's finished at the home ranch of the world, I don't want no harps nor halos, robes nor other dressed up things. Let me ride the starry ranges on a pinto horse with wings. Ridin', nothing I'd like half so well as roundin' up the sinners that have wandered out of hell. And ridin'. The gathering started in 1985, becoming an annual roundup of cowboys, ranchers, poets, artists, and the many combinations therein, hailing from all parts of the American West and sometimes beyond. One voice that always catches my ear in Elko every winter is the voice of Henry Reelbird. Former Montana Poet Laureate, teacher, rancher, and frequent headliner of the gathering. This year I got to talking to him in an upstairs office at the Western Folklife Center, who puts the thing on. But before I play the interview, I wanted to share one of his poems. This is Thought, written and performed by Henry Reelbird.
Thought. Thought is like a cloud you can see through shadow to see nothing, but you can see shadow when it touches something you know. Like that cloud's shadow touching the Wolf Teeth Mountains. When the clouds touch the mountain's top or where it is high, the wind is good. When you're among the clouds, blurred ground among fog, you are close to he who first did everything, said my grandfather owns Painted Horse. We are but nomads, asking for nothing but the blessings upon our Mother Earth. We are born as someone new. So then we have to be taught the good from the bad. What is good we want you to know. What is good we want you to use in the way that you are a person.
Cowboy poetry is often very structured. The good poets play with that structure and surprise you with twists or pauses, jokes, wordplay. Henry's poems do something else entirely. They feel like suddenly you're walking down a path and you don't know where it's going or if it's going anywhere. But it usually does. And then you're somewhere a little different, and he says thanks, and he puts his hat back on and sits down in a chair at the back of the stage. I'd like to play our conversation in full. Here is my interview with Henry Reelbird.
All right.
Okay.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. How's that?
That's perfect.
Okay. My name's Henry Reelbird, and I'm over here in Elko Poetry Gathering, February 2nd, 2024. All right.
All right. Where are you from, and what's it like there?
Oh, where am I from? Yeah, I'm from Garryon, Montana, and that's the Crow Indian Reservation, and that's on the Little Bighorn. And I grew up there, pretty much speaking Crow Indian until I was maybe 5, 6 years old, and then I went to school, started English, but then graduated from the school district there, going from Crow Agency to Hardin, Montana, and then on to Western Montana to go to school. But that's what I've always wanted to do, was to just be a brunk rider and to hang around horses, and then to become a teacher ever since I was 10 years old. And then through the process, I was laid up, but I liked to write. And then I saw poems and haikus and everything else, and I piddled around with them. But from looking at the ceiling for over a month with a bad hip injury, I was able to think a little bit. But and then a girl wrote a real heavy-duty poem about misuse and abuse and stuff like that. And then she went out, and when they let her out of the hospital, she committed suicide. And so I was the last contact she had, and I always thought that was just outstanding that somebody chose to talk to me before she left, pretty much. Oh, she talked with other people probably, but the last thing she ever wrote maybe was me. And so I wrote a little bit, but it was some misuse and abuse and stuff like that. But then I moved on and started doing children's books, and then while in board meetings and traveling around and writing more and more, then by 85, when this thing was going on, Cowboy Poetry Gathering, I already had some written, but I was drinking too much and couldn't leave, and I came over on the second year for my open mic, and then I've been here ever since. I missed one maybe, but and then COVID year, we missed that too. So that's I grew up strong, and now that I'm writing more about my life, I see how lucky I am, and so I was a strong person. I rode bucking horses, and then taught and put together a ranch and stuff like that against the odds. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What else?
Where do you think that poetry came from? Did it come from somebody in your
No.
family,
The poetry, we have that to begin with. The lullabies. Mugadum kogon olbum isashkada bachatikada elos pachisagadawae elos pachisagadawae. That's a lullaby, and my wife would sing that to our boy. And where did we find him? We found him in a green meadow. His blanket of rawhide wouldn't meet at the stomach, like that. And so that, and then the other one that I really liked was, I won't bother you with singing it, I'll just get to the lyrics. Perchesha amalusho iruk bayasha isabuloga kalamawushko bishkamawa pasha chiriashercha uganonako cheranonako. That's Raven, where do you eat? Up Canadian River is where I eat. I make a lot of noise fighting my food with the dogs, where wolves have gone, where deer have gone. And so then those are that's the poetry where I'm from. And then that tune is imprinted in my boy into our children before they can talk. The tune is there, and so there are others. Not just the two there, but there are others about horses and little bears and stuff like that, and so they're all just beautiful. And so that plus looking in the book for I saw an Eskimo kind of a haiku thing when I was young, and I was impressed with that, and then going to school, going to college, and then studying English literature and stuff like that. I was fascinated with that, and then I worked hard in English, and so from there, I've written sonnets and stuff like that. But right now, I'm just writing the end-line rhyme, free verse type, but I have a whole bunch of other material right now with that are just in a regular essay form. Yeah. So sometimes I study words, and then I get into how Saturn has all these moons and stuff like that, and then I get into mythology of the coming of the horse and so on, so forth, like a horse coming out of the Neptune's trident. When he hit the ground, a horse came out and stuff like that, and I gathered all of that. But then I gathered my own too, the origin of the horse for the Upsaroge. Yeah, all right.
What was the origin of the horse there?
The origin of the horse, we've got two. This one here is in a dream. A man had a dream, and in that dream, he was shown a horse and told where to go to get it. And the people that have the horses live in a clay house. That's the Rio Grande, and their leader had light-colored hair. And so you go down there, and then you wait until moonlight, and then you go out and kill the chief, and the people won't know what to do. And in the meantime, you gather the horses and bring them up, and this is the horse that we have. And so then, in the herd, there was a stud, and a boy grabbed that stud by the testicles, and the horse kicked him in the belly. And that band that went after the horses, well, we pretty much call them the kicked in the belly band, and I'm from there. Yeah, all right, yeah.
What's the land look like where you're from?
The land is we've got open prairie, and then we've got rivers that scratch into the ground, and then in the mountains we've got 12,800 or something like that, Granite Peak, and we're right close to it, and then Beartooth Mountains, and then now what we have left is the Bighorn Mountains, the Prairie Mountains, and the Wolf Teeth Mountains, and those, the big north end of the Bighorns and the Shot Boulder Prairie Mountains, those are big, rugged canyons and timber, and the Wolf Teeth are lower, and I always say that they are the beginning of the Black Hills. So the mountains are there, and then the prairies starts. But out there you get bentonite, and that creates severe gorges, a gorge, a creek, but deep, and those things are pretty, yeah, and I like the rivers that we have are the Bighorn and Little Bighorn, and then Pryor and a few, but those are good little rivers. Yeah. All right.
I think about when I'm up making my own radio up in the woods, and how everything in the canyon there seems to have kind of a role compared to everything else. So the lodgepole pines and the willows and the aspen and the granite and the snakes, and they all have their own kind of role in different time. I'm curious about what you think what's the poet's role in the landscape?
In talking for the water, the wind, and the land, the movement protest style that we have done has produced good reclamation, and so some of that, like speaking for the water, which is we're still doing that and everything else, and then the land for the fertilizers and stuff like that, and then we talk about people, the pain of the people and the joy of the people, and stand up for the buffalo and the four-legged, pretty much like that, and we take care of the land, just like we right now I'm working on a 13 moon cycle of the winter to get the people to recognize it again. This is where we're from, and so they've left it to where the calendar that we use now in the Western world, they're assimilated, and so I'm not trying. I'm doing it. I'm going to work on that and then finish that and give it to the people, type of thing, to where we still have a Crow tribal legislature, and then see if they can accept this time the keeping of time, like that, and then to be real close to Mother Earth, like that, and then the first lightning and first snow and all the different moons that we have, like that,
And so putting that awareness back into the calendar,
putting it back into the people, to where they appreciate where they come from, as far as the first blueberries we get up in the mountain. Those are the first ones that ripen. Maybe down lower the gooseberries ripen, but wait, I've got a customer here. Hello, Disagio.
While Henry takes a phone call, I will read from my notes. The sun gets ready to rise over the sagebrush steppe, gray enfolding itself under the tall white ruby mountains. The morning lights of Elko blink below. From the motel bathtub, a faint struggling buzz. The dead fly a day later is no longer dead, working against the water in the basin. Outside, the warm wind has turned to rain. The pavement spotted, then dark in the dawn light. All right, here we go.
All right, interview. Anyway, deal go. I was going in real life, so that's how I say it. All right.
So you've been coming to the gathering since, you said, 1986.
I come over. You see, I'd been writing, and then reciting poems in the bar, and reciting poems at small colleges, to where little bitty deals, to where I do the poetry and stuff like that, and so then '85, I think is when they started.
I think so.
Anyway, I came over the next year. I sobered up. I drank a lot, and then I sobered up, and my brother and I decided to come over, and they had an open mic, and I sang the songs and recited poems and everything else on that open mic, and I've been here ever since. But as far as the work goes, that I was a cowboy. I was a cowboy. We had the ranch, and then I can also go ride for other people and stuff like that. And but in the meantime, I'd write all the time. I'd write and about the life of the cowboy type of thing. And I was going to do one today, but I didn't have time. And love to me is a cowboy in a heart-shaped conchos with long fringes and a red scarf, writing a Gruyere paint, running through the sagebrush to catch a longhorn calf, to rope that calf, tie it up, make sagebrush fire, to brand that calf, and turn it loose for the crooked horn, longhorn cows, like that. And so this is the life that I love, and to be able to see beautiful things like trees, frosted trees, when the fog lifts and the pink clouds, they stand like the tail feathers of the white tail feathers of the eagle. And I have seen all of this on the trail of the coyote as it goes to the tip of the ridge and steps back into his tracks to leave. And so all of these things that I have seen in taking care of horses and cattle and life, taking care of my kids and my wife and my brothers and sisters, and how we all live together. And that's what I'm doing again, is getting back into that beautiful life where love is. And that's what I'm writing about, in a way, right now. Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna unplug this real quick.
Well, oh God, I hate stuff like that. Yeah, I hate fans and
Me too.
and I can't use air conditioner because I have emphysema, and I can't breathe. But
Can't you feel it?
they're
in the
gonna
air conditioner?
they're working on maybe next week they'll put me on oxygen. But today I'm here and I'm not really worried about anything. And so once I get on oxygen, I'm not going nowhere. But now I'm within my breath. I'm doing whatever I can. Yeah, yeah.
I remember on Andy Hedges' podcast a while back,
Mm-hmm.
you said, I'm trying to quote this, it was being in love with thought and dressing up a thought in a sound. And I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Thought is important, just like when you were asking me where I'm from. I used to say I'm from the water, ground, and the wind when I was writing this creation story. But then the new material that I'm writing now on life, where are you from? I'm from love, like that. And so the thought a total darkness. At one time, then the sound comes in. That's the sound that thought represents. And then to create a feeling from there is the art to try to say something that other people cannot say. And so, I mean, book report. I'm not into book reports or nothing. But I realize the anthropological reports of the value of studies and everything else. But for what I'm doing, it's not about that. I'm talking about just like on this one, when it came out, it was at one time, a long time ago, when silence was and not a word. You see, there was nothing. When silence was and not a word means that no one is even thinking about it. About silence. At one time, a long time ago, when silence was and not a word, there was nothing but air that's black and all shadow of the dark night. Old man Kyle, he's the creator he's the one that made the world for the Upsato guy. Old man Kyle was thinking in the air that's black and all shadow of the dark night. And there was too much of nothing. So he howled, "Oh, oh, oh, oh." And the wind began to blow past his ears. And the wind began to blow past his ears. So this is where we're from. That's the sound that we were from when there was nothing but air that's black and all shadow. The sound of the wind. As old man Kyle was thinking in air that's black and all shadow of the dark night, in the wind, he thought there was still too much of nothing, so he howled again real loud, and the stars sparked out of air that's black in all shadow of the dark night. And he still didn't like what was here, so he howled again real loud, and there was a glow of yellow gold that got brighter and brighter, and the moon came out of a reflection to go out among the stars, and old man Coyote now had his reflection upon the water. And as the moon went, many colors came out. The moon, she went back between the water and the sky. And so there was one star left. That's the star that is bright. Now it's the coming of the sun. So now old man Coyote has a reflection and a shadow upon the water below the clouds and so on and so forth. And that's what I'm talking about. To be able to put it together like that, yeah. So then other forms of communication with the maker, and songs, and that is mysticism. And so to be able to, like I was up on the Wolf Teeth Mountains on a vision quest and fasting, and on the second night, I had the dream. The horses that you wanted for your boys, everything is set. Go on home. And so that's the ranch that we were working for. And so that's what my uncle said. And so we still talk to the Maker through mysticism, and so then that's what I'm talking about. For the people is to be able to, for those who have had mysticism, had dreams, are respected among the Crow, and that's what I want to bring back, and to be able to, the pipe that I use is the one is, the spirit of my pipe belongs to Medicine Crow, one of my great grandfathers and stuff. And so in a dream, I use his method to go out and fast. And so after going on 3 or 4 fasts, then a dream came by and said, "Hey, the sacred pipe that you are using, that belongs to Medicine Crow." And so that's the connection that I'm talking about, and it's still here. I want to pass it on to my boys, and then other people in the tribe I've pulled out, and then I'm working with them, and then I wanted the women to use the pipe too, but we don't have a way. But my grandpa, my mother's dad, has a way of including the women to sit on the outside of the circle. And so I prayed, and I wanted the women to pray with us using the pipe too. And so this fall, we were going up on top of the mountains where the Prior wild horses are, over in Prior Mountains up on top. And so a couple of nights before I was leaving, it showed me in a dream that the circle of our pipe of men, and then I'm the one with facing the east, the sunrise, and then I have the men in a circle, 4 men, and then in the dream it showed me to my left sat the women. And so when the men get through using the pipe, I load it up again and give it to the women, and they use it, and then give it back, and I take it out. And so then that's a proper way of doing it. And so we've done that, but I don't know. I was thinking I might go to the Blackfeet and ask. The Blackfeet women have a way, their own way of using the pipe, and that's what I want for them, because the world, the way it is right now, our values are all from the past, and so right now with our new form of government, the majority rules type of thing, we've got this constitution, and so women can become the boss and everything. They have become chairman of the tribe, of the chief and stuff like that, and so they should have it on their own too. And so that's what I'm working on for everybody. Yeah. All right.
In that dream, in that idea, you're kind of you're in the middle between the circle of the men and the circle of the women, and I think your poetry kind of positions you in a similar place, where you seem to be sort of translating and taking ideas and movements and movement from landscape and translating it into something that people can understand. Is that, do you think so?
Yeah. Just like on this one here, I'm building it up to where how good love is. To all love each other as human beings. And then to squish that. It's still there. And we still have, we can still put it together. And that's my, I'm no prophet or savior or anything like that. I'm just doing this because I enjoy it and I love the work, you know.
Do you think there is anything people should know about the gathering here if they've never been here?
Yeah. Unbelievable. Like for people to come over and to see all the different forms of poetry and music that we have that exists in the world today. And they used to go overseas and everything, but it's good for people to enjoy themselves, to listen to the beautiful words, thoughts dressed up, and I just love it. Yeah. What?
What's that?
No, I was just looking for something if I can find it. But anyway, yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Let me. Oh, okay. But if I can see.
Yeah, what? I can. Let's see.
Oh, okay. There we go. Beautification of thought, describing reality in the now time. Past and present. Oh, I can't read. I didn't bring my glasses. But let me try. Beautification of thought describing reality in the now time, past and future. Okay. Interpreting. Oh, sounds and meter and oh God, that's a mess. That's a real mess. Oh, I didn't bring nothing. I just it makes me mad. But yeah. Anyway, this was a beautiful one. Yeah. Well, but
Did you write that today?
No, I had this a couple of I don't know where I have things, but okay. Right now I'm not worried about no editor or publisher. I mean, I like publishers, but I'm not worried about anybody. Okay. Oh, okay. Here's one maybe I can read. Whose feelings are these? Creating images of feelings left in time to be brought out by a combination of words is the sound of poetry representing truisms in various depths of life, in one's mind, in the wind, light, gray, silvery, white clouds, inlaid pink, highlights fantasy, feelings in a dream belong to the dream. So a random sprinkling use are blessings. And I've got, there was one, all you're going to leave are thoughts. When you leave, You're just going to leave thoughts behind. I heard that when I was young. My dad died when I was 10 years old, and so people would always say how nice of a person he was, a kind and loving man that would wipe the snot off of any child, type of thing. And so I think to write and to pass it on. And I have a poem I made for my sister, and that's on her headstone in granite. We are but nomads, asking for nothing but the blessings of Mother Earth.
Outside, the rain turns to snow. The tub fly is gone, dried enough to go on, filled back up with life. All year the words come up from the land itself, and the poets bring them to town. We all feast, and we leave warm and full, or cold and spent, or some combination, and the snow falls, starting at dusk, and then on through the night. At dawn, the wheels rumble beneath us. Tomorrow is only a horizon. It's the line wavering under my feet. And behind, Elko, as a tiny speck, buzzes away into the distance. Is produced by me, Phil Corbett. This independent podcast is made possible by listener support. If you'd like to join the community, head to patreon.com/thewind to set up a monthly donation. Thank you to Henry for taking the time. I'll post links to his work on the website. Thanks to Karen Erickson for setting up the interview, and to Eleanor Quoll, Mike Corbett, Sydney Martinez, Lucas Starmer, Brad McMullen, Nevada Humanities, the Nevada Arts Council, and to Avery Hellman and Andrew Fallander, who have a great band called Ismay that has been a highlight of the gathering the last few years for me. And finally, a ton of gratitude to everyone at the Western Folklife Center. The music in this episode was September Song by Zeke Healy and this song, Libertad, both from the Free Music Archive. There was also a tune from Yclept Insan. For updates and occasional videos of the woods, you can, for now, find The Wind on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and always at thewind.org. Thank you for being here, and keep listening.